Hello again, everyone, and thanks for watching. Well, it is a surprise that the respected Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un, leader of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, traveled to Beijing to meet with Emperor Xi. And he went on a train, and he took his wife, and he took a lot of other people with him. And apparently, the trip was, instead of for just the one day like I was initially hearing, from Monday night to Tuesday night, it was apparently 4 days, which makes sense. Because with that many people, and they're having probably a lot of discussions, here's a picture of them talking around a table here. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of other pictures that will come out, but on the right side of the table, the Kim Jong-un and all his people. And so yeah, there was some kind of pretty heavy talks going on. What was interesting to see that Kim Jong-un took his wife, Ri Sol-ju, and that was pretty fascinating because heretofore, leaders of North Korea, his father and his grandfather, didn't take their wives. Their wives were always in the background. And here, Kim Jong-un is actually making his wife looks like a full participant, or at least she's right up there front and center. She's right there. She was there when the South Korean delegation came north and talked to people. She was that famous picture that I thought was so clever of her reaching across her husband, just moving right across him to toast one of the guys from South Korea with a glass of wine. That was pretty interesting. But yeah, that's he brings his wife right out, and so the picture of the two leaders and their wives is just classic. That's really. It's really kind of heartwarming to see that, I think. But I was surprised he took the train and instead of fly. But maybe it was for a couple of reasons that I hadn't thought about it. Maybe it's logistics. Maybe he took his own limousines. Because, I mean, it's a big train, so he can take a lot of, whatever he wants to on there. He took, like I say, he took a lot of people with him, a lot of heavy hitters from North Korea there. It also could have been for largely sentimental reasons. His father, Kim Jong-il, traveled all over the place in the train. And if memory serves, Kim Jong-un went with his father on one of those trips to China. So it might have been a case of, the very Confucianism idea of filial piety. It's retracing his father's steps when he visited China, so the son uses the same train that his father did. But interesting, what does it all mean? What does the trip mean? Because I had thought that because the meeting with President Moon Jae-in with South Korea, I thought that was taking precedence over everything else. And that would happen first, and then the meeting with China would happen second, and then the meeting with the United States would happen third, or possibly not at all. So here, it's almost like putting the cart before the horse. And so maybe it's a matter of diplomatic leverage. Maybe it's the idea of South Korea still thinking that it can steal something over on Kim Jong-un and pressure him. Now that he was asking for a meeting, maybe he looked desperate, and so he might concede to a lot of things he wouldn't ordinarily give up. So Kim Jong-un goes to China and gets China's backing, which is huge. Now that he has China in his corner, then when he comes back to the table with South Korea, then he can say, okay, this is what, boom, boom, boom. And South Korea keeps talking about denuclearization. That's all they talk about. I mean, I was reading Yonhap this morning and Chosun Ilbo and a couple of other publications. And it's all they talk about is denuclearization. And to my way of thinking, this is not front and center in China's mind. Yes, they'd like to get him to give up his weapons, but this is not the be-all to end-all, the nuclear weapons. China's big thing is to get the United States off the Korean Peninsula. That's what they want to do, push the U.S. back to Japan. And so they're willing to do a lot to get that done. And if they can get a deal going between North and South Korea, where now the presence of the U.S. military in Korea is no longer needed. And then, I mean, I made a couple of weeks ago, I made a video about, will South Korea disinvite the United States? Invite them to leave. Will the United States military on South Korean soil be seen, come to be seen as an anachronism, a carryover from the war? So it might be. I don't know. But yeah, I guess it's just a matter of diplomatic leverage where Kim Jong-un stole a march. It's also probably something to do with, and I don't want to say that the sun rises and sets on American diplomatic policy, because there's a lot of other things going on in the world that have nothing to do with the United States. The United States like to think it does, but it doesn't. And but here it may have been a case where Kim Jong-un, by extending that, by inviting Trump to a meeting, to a visit, I keep saying that that's a big deal for Kim Jong-un to invite, to want to have a meeting with the U.S. president. And what did Donald Trump do? He didn't reciprocate. And what Kim Jong-un was looking for was, he sent out what he thought would be an olive branch. Here, a peace feeler. Here, let's get something started. And instead, Kim Jong-un, or instead Donald Trump, he responded to Kim Jong-un's peace feeler by kicking out Rex Tillerson, and then kicking out H.R. McMaster, and bringing in Mike Pompeo, who is a neocon, and then bringing in John Bolton, who is the leader of the neocons. And the first thing John Bolton starts saying is, in so many words, what we want from North Korea is absolute surrender, just total surrender, and then we'll move in and take everything. And so Kim Jong-un said, okay, fine, I tried, and made the move towards the United States. I was rejected, so now he moves towards China. And that was that's what happened. The appointing of John Bolton, this crazy John Bolton, and all the other neocons like Lindsey Graham, that probably just said, okay, fine, then if that's the way you want it, then we'll bring in China. And so Kim Jong-un may have thought about it as playing the China card, like Nixon did with China back in the day, playing the China card against Russia. And Kim Jong-un plays the China card against the United States. And it seems to me that, I didn't expect this, but I don't watch it that closely, but just on the face of it, I didn't expect this. But imagine what's going on in the CIA right now. I'm sure they had no idea what the hell's going on. So Trump is probably asking, why didn't you people see this coming? Here's Mike Pompeo. He comes over from the CIA to the State Department. Well, he's supposed to know what's going on, and he doesn't. He's not. I don't think he's in there yet. So Trump is going to be asking Mike Pompeo, well, you didn't see this coming? No. I'm sure some lower level people, CIA, figured this out, but all too often the lower level conclusions or analysts, their papers, they never rise to the top. They get stuck, and the director of the CIA never sees them until long afterwards. So anyway, yeah, I'm surprised about this, but we'll see what happens. I want to see more pictures coming out. Did they issue a memorandum or a communique or something, so we get an idea of what was accomplished. We'll hear something official from South Korea, from President Moon Jae-in, whatever. But anyway, we'll stay tuned and take a look at it. But this is an interesting turn of events, to say the least. And yes, I'm very surprised at this. So anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.